comfortable enough. You're all welcome back to class for the last session where we'll be discussing about the investigation techniques in business analysis. And of course, without further ado, we would like to introduce the next trainer we have today. She is a management system audit analyst, and she has expertise in ISMS and QMS. And we're talking about no other but Damilola Adelaja. All right, let's put in the chat room a round of applause as we welcome her to take us on the third session this afternoon. Damilola, you can take it up from here. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're there.
Hello, everyone.
All right, you're welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
As it is rightly introduced me, my name is Damilola Adelaja, and I am a management system audit analyst. Today I would be taking a session of business. So I'll be sharing my screen now. So 1 second, please. So if you can hear me, please confirm. If you can hear me, kindly confirm by typing it in the chat box. If you can hear me, just a reaction on or anything at all to confirm that you can hear me.
Okay, we can hear you, though there is a bit of interference, probably from the background. Aside that, we can hear you clearly.
Yeah, how is it now? How is the interference now? Is it better?
Yes, it's better now.
Right,
perfect.
Thank you.
All right. So you can share your screen now, and we take it from here.
Please, Edith, can you confirm you can see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen now.
Right, thank you so much. So good afternoon again, everyone. And I hope you are not tired already. I know we've been having a class since morning, but I understand it could be quite tiring to stay seated and having classes back to back. But I would like to implore us that everything we have been learning here, apart from it being useful in our various organizations, we could actually apply them to our personal projects, and especially some things that we're going to be seeing in this particular topic, that's investigation techniques. There are some things that will be useful when you want to carry out various kinds of projects. So I'd like you to sit upright, take your notes, write down some of the things I'll be saying might not be on the slide. So try to take notes and just ensure you follow. Thank you so much. All right, so investigation techniques. Now, before going deep into investigation techniques, I would like us to see something on documenting business situations. Now, when it comes to business analysis and even business system in general, there are various ways, various techniques that could actually be used to document the initial investigation that's been made by the business analyst. Now, I would like not to take much of our time, so I might not be, reading the slide word for word, but like I said earlier, everything that you'd be hearing would be something useful to you. So ensure to jot down. If you have not been jotting down things, sure to take a note on your pen and jot down things. And this is going to be an interesting ride. All right, so I'll just go straight to the various techniques that we have when it comes to documenting business situations. We have the investigation techniques, which includes interviewing, observation, and workshops. We have the quantitative investigation techniques, we have rich pictures, we have mind maps, and we have spaghetti maps. Now, before we go deep into investigation techniques and quantitative investigation techniques, we will look quickly at what a rich picture means. All right, so basically, a rich picture is just the technique whereby the business analyst makes use of symbols and annotations that are relevant and useful. Basically, it helps the business analyst to have an overview of an entire business situation. Now, taking a look at this, you can see this is a typical scenario of probably a bank. Yes, a bank. Now we have the sales manager who is under so much tension to increase sales and passing on this tension to the sales team. The sales team are under pressure to meet the targets that the sales manager has given to them. And we can see the aspect of the customer service staff and the customers, having various complaints, and the customer service staff is complaining about handling too many complaints from the customers. Then we see the customer service manager who is also burdened with how to look after the customers. So this is a typical rich picture map. It shows various it basically pictures a particular situation. So it helps the analyst to form a mental map of a particular situation, is able to connect between various issues. So I hope that is clear. So I will move on to mind maps. So mind maps are also very useful to the business analyst. The business analyst makes use of mind maps to summarize like a lot of information, like a whole lot of information in a simple visual form, whereby there are connections, between various ideas and different topics. So I'll show us a sample mind map. Now this is a typical mind map. Sorry. Right, so this is a typical mind map. So you see the business analysis technique mind map. Now we can see various various terminologies, we can see various ideas being mapped together to create a mind map. Please, could you hold on for 1 sec? All right. So the mind, I'm sorry for the break. So the mind map helps the business analyst to think, to collect knowledge, remember, to create ideas. So basically, that is on mind maps. So the spaghetti map. Now, spaghetti map is a diagram. It shows the movement and interaction of the stakeholders and obviously, basically the various activities that the stakeholders carry, basically shows their movement. So just like a map that shows the movement of an interaction of stakeholders, how they work together, how they move from one department to the other to carry out their various activities. All right, so now before investigation is carried out, or sometimes a business analyst could be working with an organization that has never worked with before. Okay, so I said that sometimes a business analyst might work with an unfamiliar client or an organization or a department that has never actually worked before. So before the business analyst will be able to carry out his work or her work, we need to take some time to actually spend, actually gather background information about that particular organization. And there are various ways, that one could get access to information about a particular organization. Now, thankfully, the internet has made access to background information very easy. So you could just first of all study the organization's website. This is the quickest and simplest way to get a view of what an organization does. From the organization's website, you can get to know what the organization values, can get to know how the brand itself is, what the brand wants itself to be perceived as by other people. However, most times an organization will put the best and kind of info concerning themselves on their website. So that means that information about an organization on their own website might not be the best place to get the overall information about a particular organization. Also, we could get your prior research of a particular organization. You could carry out your research by studying the organization's reports, everyone that has been made available by a particular body with their profit and loss statements. Basically, you can also have the shareholder reports of the particular organization. And also, you could have the customer feedback about a particular organization. That also is a legit source of information about a particular organization. Also, to know more or to know further about a particular organization, you could also study their manuals, their documentation, their processes within the organization, the policies, and all sorts of documents that have been created for the organizations in place in that particular organization. But I'd like you to note that these documentations would never substitute a proper investigation analysis. So it is just more like a preparation, a way to have prior understanding of a particular organization before you actually go deep into investigation. Right. So also you could study the organization's charts and target areas of the company. So without so much more ado, let's dive into investigation techniques. Now, I'd like you to know that investigation techniques are really important to the business analyst. Like, they are critical. They're the bedrock of getting valuable insights and making informed decision. Emphasis on informed decisions. So that means that the business analyst will not just making information based on not just making decision rather based on no information, but rather the investigation techniques will help the business analyst to actually make informed decisions. So investigation techniques help the business analyst to understand the current situation of the organization, the department that he or she will be working with, be able to identify the bottlenecks, the issues, be able to identify the gaps, and also be able to ascertain the future needs and opportunities within the organization. Now, of course, like I said earlier, investigation techniques are essential tools in the business analyst toolkit. Like, basically, the business analyst would do nothing without investigation techniques. So basically, we have various ways, various investigation techniques, yes. And one of those would be surveys and questionnaires. Surveys and questionnaires are really, they're really helpful when it comes to getting information from very large group of people. So they would be effective, it will be cost effective when it comes to dealing with a larger group of people. However, interviews on the other hand, they're like the most common investigation technique. And business analysts through interviews would engage the stakeholders, business users, subject matter experts. Now, the difference between surveys and questionnaires and interview would be one of the major difference would be the fact that interviews would speak to less group of people, while we have surveys that will speak to a larger group of stakeholders effectively, basically. Not like we cannot interview a large number of people, but to have it effectively, surveys and questionnaires might be the best bet for it. Also, we have document analysis. A business analyst could examine the existing documents like the reports, the policies, the procedures, all sorts of documents within a particular organization. And to help the data analyst to actually have history, access to historical data of the organization, and identify constraints that have to do with identify regulatory constraints, basically, and to help the business analyst to actually gain insight on what is currently being practiced within the organization. Then we have observation. Now, observation is hands-on. It is a situation whereby the analyst is actually there to witness what is going on within the organization. Witnesses the business processes, interaction of processes within the organization, the workflow. Basically, the business analyst is observing the operation of the business. And through this, the business analyst could actually say, oh yeah, this is what is causing inefficiencies within the organization. Oh yeah, this here is a bottleneck. Oh yeah, the procedures in place are different from what is practiced in the real world. So that way, the business analyst could actually take note of the gaps, and this would help the business analyst to close the gaps within the organization. Right. So now, when carrying out interviews, now we are going to be focusing majorly on interviews for now. Now, when carrying out interviews, there are various, like just 3 areas basically that are considered during fact finding when you want to carry out interviews. 1, the current functions that need to be fulfilled in the business system. 2, the problems within the current operations that need to be addressed. Basically, problems that need to be addressed. Yes. Then new features that are required from the new business system. So, well, the last point is considered as the hardest part of an interview because, talking about new features, that means we are asking the business users to actually think beyond what they have actually experienced. So they're probably supposed to give us something different. So that means for us to be able to get appropriate information from the interviewees, we would have to be a very skilled interviewer. During the course of this particular lecture, we learn how to carry out interviews. Now, we have advantages of interviewing, and one of the major benefits of conducting an interview would be that it gives opportunity to build a relationship with the business stakeholders. Now, that means that the interviewer could have a one-on-one contact with the business stakeholders. Spending time would actually help the business analyst to form good relationships early in the project, and this would actually help during the course of the project and even after the project. Now, another benefit of interviewing would be that interviews could actually be one of the most effective ways to yield important information, because the person is right there. After the person has been made comfortable, that's the interviewee, tend to actually spill much more information than they would if they were writing in a paper, if they were filling a form or something. We will have other advantages of interviews, the opportunity to understand the various viewpoints of various stakeholders. Of course, different people have different viewpoints, so it helps the interviewer to actually have access to various viewpoints across the stakeholder community. It helps the stakeholder, the interviewer rather, or the business analyst in this case, to investigate new areas, and also helps the interviewer to have an insight to the environment of the business, of how staff actually carry out their day-to-day activities. Of course, when we have advantages of a particular thing, we most likely have a disadvantage. Now, of course, interviews are effective. Yes, they are effective, and according to the advantages that we have noted. However, there are some disadvantages, and one of it would be that interviews take time, and they could, be considered as not cost effective sometimes. It could actually be expensive. Sometimes we have situations where business users are not in the same location at the same time. So that means the business analyst would have to go to various places. Or of course, thankfully, we have the internet where we could have virtual meetings with people. But again, sometimes we could have a problem of time difference, time zone difference. So that means that interviewing has its own disadvantage. And sometimes it is hard to even get the interviewee to be seated, because sometimes the person could have a busy schedule, and sometimes that will mean you have to hurry up the interview process and not even carry out the interview as you ought to. So that means the interview will not be able to achieve the set goal. So that means that as good as interviews are, as effective as they are, they also have the disadvantage of taking time and being expensive. All right. So moving on, now preparation for interviewing. Like, if you were to be, of course, we are learning to be a business analyst now. So a business analyst would like to interview a set of business owners. Now, it is really important that we plan towards whatever it is that we find ourselves doing. Now, in this case, interviewing, it is important that the interviewer prepare thoroughly, because it helps the interviewer to save time, to actually know what he or she is going there to do. It helps the interviewer to avoid unnecessary explanations and all. And we have a structure that would help to prepare the business analyst for an interview, and that is the who, why, what, when, and where. I'll say that again: the who, why, what, when, and where. Now, before I continue, I would like to know that we are following. So if you know you are following, could you let me know by just saying the comments, in the chat box. Let me know that you are following. So good. We'll continue. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you for following. Right. So like I said we have the who, why, what, when, and where. Now, starting with who. Now, as a business analyst, you would like to, first of all, identify which stakeholder you would be interviewing. And it is important to actually consider order when you want to interview people in a particular organization. And it is very important to start with the most senior stakeholders, because these most senior stakeholders would actually provide one with an overview of the organization, and they can also help one to identify the key people to see. The boss will tell you that, oh, this is the person in charge of this, see this person for this, see that person for that. Right. So now, still talking about, we're looking at the STOP, that's the organization hierarchy, and the explanation to STOP will be on the next slide. Now, STOP. Now, as you can see, that this is a chart, or let's say diagram rather, that shows the level of authority in an organization. And as a business analyst, you would want to interview based on the level of authority within the organization. And we'll start with S. S is at the highest level in the organization, and it represents the strategic level of management. So these are the boss at the top. They are the ones that you should see first. These are the ones that you should interview first. So they are the ones that you can confirm the terms of reference with. They can help you to understand information, about, they can help you to understand how you can approach the investigation that you are carrying out within the organization. Now, the second one will be the T. The T is the tactical level or the middle management. Now, these ones are usually the heads of department. They have the understanding of issues of performance, targets, and management control. So, these people, they are able to tell you the processes, the functions that are carried out in their various departments, and they can actually point to the key people within the organization. Now, the next set of people will be the OP, and they are the people at the lowest level in this hierarchy, and they are the people at the operational level. Now, these are people that actually carry out the tasks in the departments. So they're the ones that can actually tell you, give you, they can, describe, yes, the business situation accurately. They can help you to identify the problems and, the workarounds to deal with current procedures. So these people have information about certain documents, can tell you the flow of work, and basically tell you how things go on within the organization. Right. So moving on to why. Why? Now this involves considering why you are actually interviewing this particular people. Like, why interview this person instead of the other person? So that means as a business analyst, you would want to, ask yourself why you are interviewing the, maybe the sales head instead of the, another head of department. So you would want to do that. Then the what. So of course, as a business analyst, you'd want to, consider the information that you are actually looking for. Like, what are you looking for? Consider the information that could be provided by the interviewees. You might want to note down the areas that you want to explore during the interview, and to be, important that you note this before the interview and not during the interview. Now we have when and where. When and where. Now this considers the venue, the timing, and the duration of the interview. So most times the interviewee would dictate the exact timing and duration, and most times it depends on the availability. So sometimes it can limit the the timing, the duration basically of the interview basically, because most of these people you would like to interview are busy people, and sometimes they find it hard to even squeeze in one or two things to their busy schedule. So now you are here to interview them. So that means you'd have to go through the whole process of planning the time, the place with them, and the duration, basically. And sometimes the longer the interview, the harder it is for them to be unproductive. So sometimes you might want to keep your interview short so as to be effective. All right, moving on. Now, the way sometimes is restricted to three possibilities, which were highlighted, which I would highlight here now as the interviewee's place of work, the interviewer's place of work, or a neutral third location and a place that has been agreed by both the interviewer and the interviewee. So it is best to choose the interviewee's place of work. However, sometimes it could be quite distracting or intimidating, interviewing a person at their place of work. So you may want to, settle for a more quiet environment, maybe a meeting room where you and the interviewee would have time to carry out your interview process. Right, so now we're moving to actually conducting the interview. So we have looked at how to prepare for the interview. Now, conducting the interview. Now, you see that it is actually important that you structure an interview. Yeah, planning is very important so that you can gain maximum benefit from the interview process. Now, a standard structure of our interview should be, with the opening, the body of the interview, and the close of the interview. The opening of the interview most likely be the introduction, setting the scene, making the interviewee comfortable. Then the body of the interview will be the question, the actual question and answers. The closing will be the summarizing and next. All right, so investigation techniques. Now, continuing the explanation with which I said earlier, I said the opening. That means, of course, you as a business analyst, person you be interviewing, you have to make sure that the person actually understands the purpose of the project. There have been in situations where, working on a particular project, and I don't even, sometimes when you don't understand what the project is all about, sometimes you will not be as effective as you should. And this applies to the interviewee. When the person you are interviewing does not have, a good idea or an understanding of, the project, like, why are you interviewing me? Like, why would you like to get information from me? Like, why would you like to get information from me? But it is important that in the opening of the interview, you make personal introductions and you make the interviewee to understand the purpose of the project. Right, so moving to the next, that's the body of interview. This is the main part, like I said earlier. It is where the facts, the issues are uncovered. And, it is always good that you, give a context to your, to whatever it is that you're asking. And that way you're able to obtain information in that particular context from the interviewee. So that way you have a structure, you're not just going here and there. Now the closure. After everything has been done, all good and well, it is important that you close. Now this is really important. As insignificant as it may seem sometimes, it's important that you close your interview properly. Because first of all, during the closure of your interview, you are able to summarize the points and the actions have been agreed. You're able to summarize the points to yourself as a business analyst and able to do the interview. Also, we want to sometimes advise the interviewee that you will send them a copy of what you have noted so that they can
Hello, Lola. We can't hear you actually. And you sometimes come on and off. I don't know if that's from your audio.
Oh, I apologize. I was muted and I was
Okay.
speaking. I apologize. Right.
Okay.
So, okay, I think what I was saying, what was the last thing you heard? Please, let me help you confirm. Hello? Can anybody, give me the last thing they heard?
You were still on this slide.
Okay, I remember that
Right.
I mentioned, okay, so I mentioned that you would want to send a
Talking
copy.
about summarizing.
Yes, okay. You would like to send
Summarization.
a copy of your notes to the interviewee to check for errors so that the interviewee can confirm that, oh, I did not say this. Oh, this is not what I meant by saying this. So you want to send a copy. And also you would like to, ask the person that you're interviewing how any further contact should be made. Would be, like to know if you could further contact the person that you're interviewing via email, phone calls, or whatever agreed point of contact, basically. All right, so moving on, after you've closed your your interview, I mean the interview for the particular day, you would want to follow up on the interview. It's nice, a good idea to write up notes, just follow up. Sometimes the next day, appreciating the interviewee, thanking them for giving you their time to carry on the interview, and also, probably asking more questions should be the case that you have further questions that you do not cover during the course of the interview. Now, observation in the workplace is another way that you could carry out investigation as a business analyst. You are observing how the staff members are carrying out their work. It helps you to actually obtain information about the business environment and the practices within the organization. However, if you would be observing a unionized work site, it is important that you gain approval and you follow appropriate protocols. It's really important to follow protocols while carrying out our investigation as business analysts. Now, a business analyst could actually also create scenarios. This is another way that a business analyst could carry out investigation. Now, scenarios basically, they are like telling stories of a task or a transaction, a particular process or an activity, basically. So creating a scenario, like telling a story of how a particular process could be carried out, basically. So it helps the user who is uncertain about what is needed from a particular business process to actually visualize it more clearly. Remember, I know you all can agree with me that the teachers that in our primary schools, secondary schools, and even university, our best teachers, our best lecturers are usually the ones that created scenarios in class. Now, if you agree with me, would you just type in "I agree" in the chat box? So I will know that we're following. So do you agree with me that our favorite teachers, our favorite lecturers are the ones who give scenarios, who give stories, and mention particular experience while they're teaching? Okay, thank you so much, Susan. Okay, thank you. So yes, thank you for following. Thank you so much for following. All right. So basically, a scenario would help a person to visualize the particular process clearly, more clearly than it could be in a chart with diagram sometimes. Yeah. And the process for developing scenarios will be to identify the task or interaction, to identify the steps and sequence, to define the controls and conditions, and to identify exception in situations that could actually come up an exception to identify those, and this would help having a smooth scenario while developing our scenarios, basically. Now, prototyping. Prototyping is really important for us as business analysts. And really, okay, before I move on, can I have anybody's, just maybe one person, what's your understanding of a prototype? You say this thing is a prototype of something. What does a prototype mean? What's your understanding of a prototype? Just maybe one person give me their understanding of a prototype. Right, so waiting next. Okay, yeah, somebody said a model. Yes, I agree with you. A model. Yes, thank you so much. So that person says an example, a visual picture. Yeah, so I would not say any one of us, any one of the, yes, one said a sample of a real product. Yes, very, very correct. So there is no wrong answer here. A prototype basically is like, like basically the sample, if I were to, for example, the iPhone 15, before the iPhone 15 was rolled out for mass production, a prototype of iPhone 15 was created. Now, this will be important. This will make sense to us now when we see it in this way. Now, sometimes the case has been, during business processes where the analyst complains that the stakeholders do not know what they want. They don't know what they want, and sometimes it is difficult when, after carrying out investigations and you are not still getting exactly what the business stakeholders want. A prototype could actually come to the rescue. That way you have a sample. You're not doing a mass production test. Yes, you have a sample, a model, how the others should look, the example that the others would follow. I hope that makes sense to us. So that means sometimes it's difficult to, bring to reality exactly the requirements, what the business stakeholder will want. But sometimes a prototype will show the stakeholder, like, see this is how it would work. When you this is where the fingerprint would be. This is where you would have to swipe in, so you have to swipe up. Now, when the prototype is presented to the stakeholders, they're able to take a look at it and say, okay, great, this is what we want. Oh, why don't we change this? Why don't we move this from year to year? So basically, a prototype helps to achieve greater understanding and clarity when it comes to working as a business analyst, working with business stakeholders. So working with prototypes helps a business user to visualize the system, gives them the greater insight into a possible requirement that, actually, this particular thing that we want to achieve could actually achieve much more. So the prototype would help with that. Now move to quantitative approaches. Now, slowly we are getting to the end of the class, and we'll move to quantitative approaches. Now, an example of a quantitative approach to investigation will be a questionnaire, which was referred to earlier before we started talking about interviews. Now, I said, when we want to deal with questionnaires, questionnaires are best for when you have to get information from a lot of people, and interviewing them would not cut it at all. Interviewing them would not be practical, and it would not be cost effective. So questionnaires are useful when you want to get information from a large number of people. Now, sometimes it is difficult to actually successfully get people to use questionnaires as they ought to. So that is why when you want to design your questionnaire, you might want to take note of the following main areas in the questionnaire. First of all, you would want to have your heading section. You'd want to have the heading section. Now, the heading section is where the purpose of the questionnaire is explained. Remember, I mentioned that whoever it is that you like to get information from, you should, make sure that the person understands the purpose of the information that you are getting from them. So that way, it would increase the respondent's readiness to giving you information. It will actually help them to give you much more information as they would have if you had not giving them insight of or the purpose of the information that you're asking from them. And also we have the classification section. That is where the details about the respondents would be. Could be the age, the gender, and various information that could be of use to you as a business analyst. Now, there are cases where a questionnaire could be completely anonymous. Like, you would not need to have the personal information of the people that you are getting information from, that's respondent. So it is important that you make the respondents feel safe. That way they can actually answer your questions sincerely. That way you know that, okay, nobody's able to point or trace this particular response back to me. So it is good to make your respondent, as a business analyst, make them feel safe, make them feel that they cannot be identified by any means whatsoever. So that way you'll be able to get truthful response. Right. Now, in your questionnaire, you would have the data section. Now, this is the main place where the work is done. This is where the main body of questions are posed. Now, it is vital that you think carefully before phrasing your questions. Now, this is very important. If you have not been listening, you have not been paying attention since, I'd like you to pay attention to this. While creating your questionnaire, you would, like to ask your questions in a way that would lead you to the results that you are planning to get. For example, if the kind of result you are planning to get would just need responses of yes or no, then carry on with that. But in cases where you need much more information than yes or no, you want to structure your questions to be in the way, to be open-ended, yes, in a way that the respondent would be able to answer your questions properly. That way you're able to analyze their results in accordance to the particular result you're aiming at. So ensure that the way you ask your questions are not ambiguous, they are clear enough for your respondents to answer and give you clear responses. Now, for example, if you ask the person, have you visited our website recently? And the person just answers no. Now, let's say that's a question in your questionnaire. Have you visited our website recently? And the person just answers no. Now, that could actually mean a lot of things to you. It could mean that the person is probably not interested in your product or your service. Maybe that's why the person has never visited your website. It could also mean that the person did not even have an idea that your company has a website. Maybe the person is not even literate, technology-wise, or has not even used any website at all. So the person that answered no means that the respondent could probably not be interested in your product, do not know you have a website, like everything like that. So basically, the whole purpose of everything I'm saying right now is that you ask your questions in a way that it will suit the result that you're trying to get. Right, so now a problem, let's say disadvantage with questionnaires, I am sure that this is not only me I cannot be the only person that has done this particular thing. So while in the university, when students carrying out their final year projects, bring questionnaires to me. Sometimes I'm just too tired to answer them. Sometimes see, I'm just too busy, and sometimes I just answer them anyhow. Now, in this case, that will be the case of a business analyst and the business users. So let's say business analyst distributed the questionnaires, hoping to get response maybe the next day or a day after or next. There could be responses like, oh, I threw the questionnaire in the bin, I'm sorry. Or, oh, I was not available. I was on holiday when the questionnaire arrived. Oh, I was just too busy when it arrived. I could not answer it. Or they never know that the question was even more than a page. Just answer a page and just move on. So that is why it's very important that your headings state why the purpose of the interview, and shows in section, okay, this is section where we are stating the purpose of the questionnaire. Rather, I keep saying interview. This is section where I get to the personal info, section where we're answering questions. So another quantitative approach of investigation with special purpose record. It means that business users actually keep records of specific issues or tasks. For example, they could keep a farm, like they could keep like something like a 5-year record of a particular activity within the organization. Do you understand? So this particular record would actually provide the analyst with information about a particular product, with a particular problem with that particular process within the organization, and it could help the business analyst to actually analyze the process and actually bring out the problems and to bridge the gap, right? So we also have what we call activity sampling. Activity sampling, and this is a further quantitative form of observation. Now, this is a kind of observation where the analyst actually, gets information that he requires to get. For example, how much time is spent on invoicing each day? How much time do you spend on answering to customers' complaints as a customer service representative? So it's the business analyst is able to take sample of the average way an activity or activities are carried out within a particular organization. Now, another thing that a business analyst could do is document analysis. Document analysis, and this involves reviewing samples of documents in order to get particular information about the organization, about their processes, and about their system. So, for example, let's say we are trying to analyze a particular policy within the organization. Now, one of the questions that a business analyst would ask is, how is this document, how was it completed? Or how is this particular document, in your organization, how do you complete it in your organization? Now, who completes the document? Are there validations or controls in this particular document? Who uses the document? When is this document used? How many of these documents are used or produced? How long is this document retained in the organization? How long does it take before you review it? And in what form is this document provided? Is it an electronic kind of document? What are the details of the information shown on the document? Is this a particular document? Is it an internal document? Is it a public document? Now, where is the information or data in this particular document? Where are they obtained? are other names used in the organization for the items or data. So basically, a business analyst will ask questions. Basically, business analysts ask questions, and this is not different when it comes to document analysis. So basically, document analysis will help, will serve as a supplement, basically. Like we said earlier on, that document analysis on their own will not provide you the complete information that you need as a business analyst. However, they would aid your interviewing process, aid your observation, all of those will aid, will serve as supplements to other techniques, basically. Now, while carrying out investigation within the organization as a business analyst, you would want to ensure that you document everything, every step, every activity. So while investigation of a particular current business situation is going on, you want to record your findings so that you can understand various issues within the organization, you can understand the business needs, you can understand the gaps that need to be, the gaps that need to be filled, basically. To help you as an analyst to actually understand the information that you have obtained, to help you as a business analyst to find the root causes of problems within the organization. Basically, to help you as a business analyst to carry out your overall activity, your overall role, your responsibility as a business analyst when you document at each step of the way. So we have come to the end of this particular section, and the assessment link would be dropped in the comment section, chat box, basically. So if you have any question, any observation, anything you'd like to say to this, I would like you to kindly type it in the chat box. Thank you so much. Idris.
All right, thank you so very much, Lola, and that was quite insightful and educative. Yes, we are waiting your questions. If you have questions, kindly chat or type them in the chat box and let us read up and answer. And earlier on, while you were speaking, we have a question, and the question says, how is data privacy of respondents protected? How does the business analyst manage the situation when the people at the operational level reveal some truth and realities about their operations? For example, if a supervisor is a clog in the wheel of progress and the operations staff reveals this, won't the operation guy get in trouble?
Right, thank you so much. So if you notice that while, okay, let me go back to the slide. Talking about the organization hierarchy, I noted that you should start your interview with the top management, that strategic level of management. It will actually help you to know how your interview process should go. In some cases, you might need to sign kind of non-disclosure agreements with the organization. But like I said again, you should start your interview process from the top level. So they're able to actually give you information as to how we should carry out your process. Now, if the guy at the lowest level gives information that he is not supposed to give, now that will not be on the business analyst's end. That will be on the end of the person that actually gave information that he was not supposed to give. But all in all, ensure that you start your interview process from the strategic level of management. They're able to give you guidance on how to carry out interview within the organization. And also I noted that if you'll be carrying out interview in an organization, like in a unionized organization, you might want to, gain approval from them, ensure that all protocols are observed. And one of the protocols that could be observed according to that organization could be you signing a kind of non-disclosure agreement with the organization. Thank you.
All right, that's a very good response. And yes, do we still have more questions? If you have more questions, please chat and let us attend to them. Okay, while we're waiting for your questions, Mercy, you can share the assessment link in the chat box. And I see some people still requesting for the attendance form link. So if you had filled up the attendance form from the beginning, you don't need to fill up again. But if you have not, then you can fill up again. So Mercy, please share the links in the chat room. Okay, we're still waiting for your questions. And if we do not have more questions or any more questions, all right, we would say a very big thank you to our trainer this afternoon. Damilola, we are very grateful. Thank you for this, for sharing your time and moment with us. And this is very educative. Okay, we have a question. It says, what approach will you adopt in carrying out a holistic review of business in the organization?
All right, thank you so much. So like I said, it depends on the kind of information that, again, there's no stereotyped approach to carrying out review within the organization. So again, it will depend on the kind of information that you are trying to get. Do you understand? So sometimes when you want to carry out a holistic review of the business, you could carry out interview with core people within the organization, you carry out
Lola, I think we've lost your audio.
I'm sorry, I apologize. So like I was
Okay.
saying, I said you might need to carry out interview with some core people within the organization, and might need to share questionnaires to some other people. Might need to carry out observations, might need to create scenarios. So we don't have a particular a stereotype way of carrying out, but I want to employ various techniques to actually carry out a holistic analysis of business within the organization. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I think that's all the question we have for you. So thank you very much for being here with us and taking us through this last session. We are indeed grateful. So let's put our applause in the chat room while we appreciate Lola for being with us and taking us on this class today. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are almost drawing the curtain on today's session, and like we've already announced, admission is on for those who would wish to study at Transformation College. Admission is ongoing. Simply visit our website, and we will be sharing all the links on the WhatsApp group, website link, registration link, and all other links, the assessment link, the feedback form links, and all on the WhatsApp group. So feel free to give us your feedback on today's session, and let's improve come next session. Okay, and follow us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, YouTube. On Monday, we'll be uploading the recorded version of today's class. You can watch, and then you can also take your assessment after that. Right.
Okay, so we have come to the end of today's session. We would see everyone again next week or next weekend for the day's class. All right, so please keep a date with us again and on time next weekend for the class. So we'll be sharing the attendance link and all other links on the chat room on WhatsApp. So kindly click and fill up accordingly. Right. All right, so do have a wonderful afternoon and a wonderful evening. We'll see you again next week. Bye for now.